every time a person is in front of you, you have a choice. You have a choice to see that person as fully human, as broken as you are, and deserving of dignity. Or you could choose to see that person as small and insignificant and not worth your own vulnerability. When I was a child, I had to make myself small to stay safe. Now, when I tell you that I was small as a child, I'm telling you how I felt inside. Because outside, I wasn't small at all. I was as big as a big Italian meatball. I was born in Altoona, Pennsylvania, 1972. A small railroad town, blue collar, dismal and gray, with an overall look of Halloween. I lived at 121 2nd Avenue, and across the street was Helen's Penny Candy Store. And beside that was the 2nd Avenue United Methodist Church. My house was directly across. We had a dingy house with worn out red shaggy carpet, wallpaper that featured brown, yellow, and avocado green flowers. And all of this was accented by thin brown curtains which held the pungent stench of Pall Mall cigarettes. It was the 1970s. Any good parent at least smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. My parents smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. My mom, her name was Kathy. My father, his name was Tom. It wasn't until I was 30 years old I found out that Kathy and Tom, they never got married. Nope. They randomly met each other in October of 1971 at the Sunken Ship Bar. And apparently my dad sunk his ship with my mom. Because 9 months later I was born, their only son, their only meatball. I would stand on my tippy toes trying to watch my mom as she made meatballs in a skillet. The smell of garlic and the crackle of grease filled the air. Mommy, why does garlic smell like that? Honey, don't find no Tommy. It just does. Italian perfume, baby. That's what we call it. Come here, baby. Tommy, you want to take your fork and you want to keep rolling your meatball around like this, okay? Because you never want your meatball to get too brown on one side. My love for food began right beside my mom at her stove. That's when my mom felt well enough to cook. And when she cooked, boy, could she cook. I love to cook. I made homemade meatballs and sausage and eggs and peppers and the fried sugar dough and homemade pasta that I made with my own hands. It was my duty and my pleasure to make homemade meatballs for my little Tommy, to help him on his quest for childhood obesity. My mother's father, my grandfather, he came over fresh off the boat from Italy, carrying with him the family name Del Grosso, which translated into English is of the large. And of the large described my mom's, some women are A, B, C, double D cup. Not me. I'm a size K. The same size as my Hoover vacuum cleaner sweeper bag. She was 5'3", 300 pounds, with out-of-control diabetes, often so sick she could hardly function. She had black curly hair that she never brushed, and a smoker's low growly voice, and a laugh that made it sound like she surprised herself. I only laughed when I didn't know what else to do. I became diabetic when I had my Tommy. He's what I call my sugar baby. Just like a Snickers, just as sweet. Before Tommy, the doctor said, Kathy, you have to lose weight. You have to lose 100 pounds and stop smoking. Or you're gonna die. The way I thought about it was, what was there to live for anyway? You know what I mean? So after a couple miscarriages, I had my Tommy, my little miracle boy. My dad was pale-skinned, very muscular, with crystal blue eyes. He had paranoid schizophrenia, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder. He was an alcoholic. And I like to drink. Big fucking deal. Was angry at the whole world. I like to decorate the house once in a while by punching holes in the walls or throwing little knickknacks that Kathy had sitting around collecting dust. Never finished school, went to 2nd grade. Nothing those sons of bitches could teach me, I'll tell you that. Was a janitor for the Altoona School District. Cleanest bathrooms they've ever seen. You know what I mean? You clean up someone else's shit. See how you like it. Mommy, when did we ever see Daddy's family? Oh, honey, because your daddy's family is goddamn crazy. Do Mommy a favor. She's not feeling too good. Go get her cigarettes. Okay, honey? Up to about 3 years old, right after the crib, I slept on top of my mother's back. I got on my belly, and then I would put my head on her butt cheeks. And I used them as a pillow. And then she would bend her legs up, and she would talk to me with her feet to keep me company. She made the silliest voices. Is the Easter Bunny going to bring me an Easter basket tomorrow? He might. He'll hide your Easter eggs too. Is he going to bring me a chocolate bunny? Of course he will. But you have to go to sleep and be good. Okay, good night. I love you. I love you. Sometimes my mom made her feet sing. Good night, good night, my Tommy. When I got too big for my mom's back, I graduated to the living room. I slept on one couch and she slept on another, directly across from each other. She told me this is where she could keep an eye on me. And every weeknight, my dad would work till 11 o'clock at night, second trick. My mom would come to the living room. She would turn on the TV and turn the volume as loud as she could to hopefully drown out what was screaming and yelling down the hallway, down in the kitchen. There was this show called MASH. It had this really sorrowful theme song. And every time I heard that come on at 11 o'clock, I knew what was about to happen. My mom had a dog named Misty, a cute little mutt who followed my mom everywhere. And that dog could protect my mom more than I could at that time. My dad hated this dog. Is the food ready? Huh? Why does the fucking dog have to be in the kitchen with you, huh? Glued to you. Always by your side. Stop staring at me, dog! Huh? You afraid to be without it? Why does he stare at me, Kathy? Stop fucking staring at me. Stop fucking staring at me! I went to the kitchen, and my mommy and my daddy were screaming at each other. My dad threw a glass against the wall, and there was glass all over the floor. My mom was holding the dog. And then my dad asked my mom, why is the dog in the kitchen? And my mom said, because it was thirsty. And then my dad grabbed the dog from my mom and he took her to her water bowl. And he put her head inside of it. And he kept pushing. And it was making this horrible sound. And he wouldn't let her up. Paranoid schizophrenia is a mental illness. It makes a person feel or think that people, things, and sometimes God are after them. And sometimes after they hurt you, you're sorry. You Tommy? Hey, don't cry, okay? You know crying's for babies. I didn't mean for that to happen, okay? You know what we can do? Do you know what we can do? We can get ourselves a new dog. How about that? Come here. Come here. Let me hug you. During those weeknights, I would go to my couch and I would cover up and I would pull back the curtain and I would stare across the street at the church and I would pray. Nobody ever taught me how to pray. I just sort of knew how. It's funny, when I was a kid and I used to see the steeple of that church, I used to think it was a radio tower. And so I thought to myself, I live so close to it, there's no way that God didn't hear my prayer. Dear God, thanks for everything. Dear God, why is my dad so mean? Help my mom not be so sick and my dog find a new home. And please, I'd like to visit your church sometime, if you don't mind. Amen. On the weekends, our sleeping arrangements were a little bit different. My father would go out drinking every Friday night at the bars and he would come home and just wreck the house. So on Friday afternoon, my mom and we put together a little bag and we would go stay at a cheap, questionable motel. The motel was flamingo pink. And it was ran by a woman who wore too much jewelry, and she wore way too much makeup. And she did not sound like she was from Pennsylvania. But the oddest thing about this woman, she had a pet. She had a pet parrot that she called Lou. Lou had a foul mouth. Bastard! Bastard! Lou, now you watch your fucking mouth. I swear I'm gonna take your mouth shut. Oh, look who it is! Kathy. Ooh, it is so good to see you. Welcome back, honey. How is that old man of yours? He's an asshole, that's how he is. Drinking like a goddamn fish, probably gonna lose his job. Oh, honey, you need to get yourself in this little cute little chunky monkey. You need to get your two selves out of that house. I was in the same situation as you are with that ex-boyfriend of mine, Francis. Who the hell names a man Francis anyway? One day I just had him, and I just left that son of a bitch. Didn't we, Lou? Son of a bitch! Well, anyways, let's see. We have you in room 108. And I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but we are moving on up like the Jeffersons. We have the movie channel box in every room. And tonight they're playing that Stephen King movie. You know, the one about the car that kills people. I just love his movies. Especially when somebody gets murdered. Just gets out a certain kind of frustration, if you know what I mean. Well, anyways. You and your little cute little chunky monkey. You two have a good sleep, okay? And Kathy, take my advice, honey. Leave his ass. Leave his ass! Lou agrees. Well, when I was home, we were lucky to have neighbors. Our next door neighbor, her name was Jamie Valentino. Jamie Valentino looked like those moms that you saw on TV. She was always well dressed. Her hair was done. When I went to her house, she had magnets on the refrigerator. And real green plants that they watered. And she always let me stay for dinner. But before, she would say, Tommy, you have to drink a whole glass of water before you eat. She wanted to give me some healthy habits because at my house, I didn't have healthy habits. Tommy and his ice cream. Oh my God. If Tommy was good, I'd go and I'd get him his own half-gallon of chocolate ice cream. Turkey Hill. And some mornings, I'd wake him up in the morning to get him up and he'd still be asleep. His face full of chocolate. My little chocolate meatball. My dad couldn't stand anything about me. What's wrong with your wrists? Huh? Are your wrists broken? Why do you always talk like this? Can you keep them straight like that? Maybe like that? Hey, you don't walk away from me when I'm talking to you, okay? And you know what? You keep prancing around like that, you're gonna get beat the living shit out of. Dear God, can you please help my dad? Dear God, why is he so mad? Every Sunday, I watch the people walk into your door. I want more. Can you send me an invitation? Or do I need a reservation? I just live across the street. And meeting you would be me. Amen. One Sunday morning, I was awakened by my mom's scream. I ran down the hallway, and my mom was standing in the bathroom door, waiting. Bathroom, she was staring at my dad. My dad was looking at himself in the mirror. He had taken a razor, and he had shaved off his hair, his eyelashes, his mustache, his eyebrows, everything. There was hair and blood all over the floor. Oh, Jesus Christ, Tom! What did you do to yourself? You're scaring Tommy and me! And what did you do in your room? I ran up to my father's room, And when I got there, scrawled on all of his walls were Bible verses written backwards in red pen. But just then, from outside his window, I heard music. And still in my Garfield pajamas, I stuck my slippers on, and I ran out of my house, across the street. I ran out, up the church steps, right to the big red doors. And when those doors opened up, there she was.
Good morning. Good gosh, honey. What took you so long to cross the street? We've been waiting for you.
Her name was Erdine Grissinger. She was your classic Sunday school teacher. Three-piece skirt, suit, hat, glasses, and she had hair that reached great heights. I'm sorry about my pajamas.
Oh, honey, the Lord don't care how you dress. My Sunday school class starts in a couple minutes. You want to come up and see my room?
I followed Erdine into the church.
Here we are, same room for over 30 years.
Her room was magical. Bulletin boards that were decorated. Bible verses not written backwards. And then in the corner,
Do you play?
play what?
Piano. Would you like to try?
Sure.
Come here. Come here. Come here. You sit by me.
When Erdine played the piano, my whole life made sense.
All right. Now, your turn. Try this.
I stayed for Sunday school. And then after Sunday school, Erdine asked me,
So do you sing?
I sometimes sing with Kermit the Frog on the Muppet Show.
Well, that's a start.
And I sang. I stayed for hours that day singing with Erdine. Oh, the days between Sundays seemed like a lifetime. I couldn't wait for church to happen every Sunday. And then on Christmas that year, it was very significant for me. She asked me to sing at the Christmas Eve service. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. And when I was done, I looked out at the congregation, and for the first time in my life, I thought everything was going to be okay. I thought I'd update God. Dear God, thanks for letting me sing. Dear God, it felt so amazing. Can you please help us have a good Christmas day? What do you say? And could you tell Santa I like Rubik's Cube and my dog has face game? I'm Kermit the Frog puppet and I microphone thing, angry sing. And please, 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 Santa, no husky pants. Husky pants. Husky pants are these pants made by Sears Roebuck. For us more sturdier type boys. Boys who had a little bit more girth than the rest. They only came in two kinds. Black denim and brown corduroy. And when you walked, it sounded like sandpaper. And the crotch hung down your knee. I begged my mom to please tell Santa to not get me husky pants. Merry Christmas, Tommy. Since it's Christmas Eve, you can open up one present, honey. Go ahead. You don't complain, Tommy. There are starving children in Africa. I hate husky pants. I hate Christmas. Santa Claus is fat. He should be wearing husky pants. I hate Santa, and I hate Christmas. I hate fat fucking husky pants. And I hate you. What did you say? I hate Santa. No, ma'am, no, sir. No, mister, not on Christmas morning. You're not going to talk to me like that. You know what, honey? Mommy has a little surprise for you, Tommy. Get your coat on and grab those pants. We're going to take a little ride. Mommy just has to go give her keys. Where were we going? It was Christmas Eve. Everything was closed. But I got my coat, and I grabbed my pants. It was snowing out. There was like a foot of snow on the ground. But I went out and met my mom at her car, and she drove as fast as she could to the mall. We were going to the mall. When we got to the parking lot, there was nobody there. It was snowed in except for one car. But when we parked, a rotund man got out of that car and knocked on my window. Merry Christmas. Go on, honey. Go with him. Go with him. What was happening? My mom and I got out of the car. I brought my husky pants with me. And this man took us to Sears. He had a key to Sears. I was going to be able to exchange my pants on Christmas Eve. I could maybe exchange my pants for a new Atari game or maybe a new pair of underoos. It was like a Christmas miracle. We're passing the appliances, and now the shoes. We're heading past the youngest section. What's a boy to do? Past the sporting goods, past the jewelry counter. I'm so excited for my Sears and Roebuck shopping encounter. Fluorescent lights guide me, the smell of new fabric in the air. We finally reach our destination. My mom says, honey, we're here. And in front of me is a boy, a plastic boy wearing a Christmas sweater and a pair of corduroy. See, my mom forgot to mention we were going to the husky pant section. Then my mom, she looked down at me with a very un-Christmassy face. Tommy, Santa Claus gave me a receipt to exchange my pants? No, honey, to exchange you. You see all these husky pant mannequin boys here? They once were real boys, honey. Who talked back to their mommy at Christmas. This was not going to be a Hallmark Channel movie. My mom knew the manager of Sears, and she called him that morning for this Christmas lesson. Believe me, From that day forward, I never complained about a gift. We drove home. When we got to the house, we heard a loud noise from down the hall in the living room. When I got there, my dad was standing there holding the entire Christmas tree in his hand. And then just like that, whoosh, he threw it out the glass bay window on the 2nd Avenue. And as common in mental illness, he was sorry, got the tree, redecorated it, and then he duct taped blue tarp over my window. I couldn't see the church, but I prayed anyway. The next morning, Christmas morning, there was a knock at the door. My mom and I were still asleep. My dad came in the room to open it. I could feel the cold wind from outside. My dad was guiding 2 men into the living room who were carrying a large object that they put between my mom and I. Mommy. Mom. Mom. It's a piano. It's a piano, Mom. It's a real piano. Thank you, Dad. Thank you. I hugged my dad, and he let me. There was a school last week that got a new piano, and they gave me a good deal on this one, so Merry Christmas. I played that piano every second I had a chance. If I was happy, I played it. If I was sad, I played it. If I was scared, if I just wanted to use my imagination, I was obsessed with music. I was also obsessed with a TV show called The Carol Burnett Show. It was this amazing, beautiful woman who could do everything. And she would have these movie stars on her show, and they would sing and act and dance. Dance. I begged my mom to please help me get dance lessons. My father told me that he would never support such a sissy kind of thing. But like a good mom, somehow she made a deal with him. If I was to have dance lessons, I would have to try a sport. I chose baseball. I was horrible. You know how they have positions out on the field, like shortstop and first base, second base? I was so bad, the coach just said, we're going to call that position Tommy. The boys made fun of me big time because I was so bad. I wanted to quit. My mom said she had the solution. Tommy, honey, baby, you can't quit now. Daddy's paying for your dance classes, honey. And this is what boys do. Here, take these with you and share them with the other boys, honey. What's in there? Meatballs. You want to make friends? You give them meatballs. She was right. The boys loved the meatballs. Until one day, they gave me a nickname when I forgot to bring them. Hey, meatball boy, where's your meatballs? I couldn't take it. I had to get out of the dugout. My mom finally let me quit. But I stayed in dance class, and they allowed me to go an hour early just to listen to the piano. There was live music in the dance class. In 7th grade, my mom had her first heart attack. It sent her into the hospital, in and out, for an entire year, almost every week. By my 8th grade year, my mom finally came home, and she spent most of her time sleeping on the couch or watching Stephen King movies or smoking her Pall Mall cigarettes. One time, my mom even said to me, "Tommy, this damn heart condition is ruining the one thing I love, honey, besides you. Smoking." Then in 9th grade, it was 1986. And that was the time that pop culture was taking over the nation. And like any teenager at that time, I was full of hormones. And, you know, at that age, boys are trying to figure out their manhood. Well, I knew I was different, but I wanted to be like Bo and Luke Duke, you know, the Dukes of Hazzard. But this was also the time when other guys would call me a fat. That summer, a new boy moved into the neighborhood named Vincent Lucella. Vincent Lucella was a little bit older than me, the coolest, most handsome kid I had ever met. He could skateboard, football, basketball, roller skate. He even won at Pac-Man. But there were two things I was so envious of about Vincent Lucella. First, he could break dance. And I wanted to break dance so badly, but my body was not made for breaking. The second manly attribute I coveted of Vincent Lucella was his armpit hair. Nothing says manhood like a good head of hair. I asked him, "Vincent, how did you grow so much armpit hair?" "You have to eat a dozen of raw eggs." I did that, and I threw up. "You have to eat a whole stalk of celery a day." I did that, and I shit myself for 4 days straight. "You have to kiss a girl with your tongue." Well, there was this elderly woman in my life. She had a granddaughter. I know that this story seems very desperate. I wasn't that desperate. Her granddaughter was named Denise. Denise would come down from Michigan every summer, and I would go over to her porch and, you know, play. So I knew at this time, age 14, who the lucky lady was going to be for my house. So I went over to the house and knocked. "Hey, Denise, you want to come out and hang out between the houses?" "Sure, Tommy. Cool beans." So I met her between the houses, and she brought a frog in a fishbowl. "Tommy, my grandma wants me to go visit my aunt this weekend, and I was wondering, would you mind watching Franklin for me?" "Sure. But you have to be really careful because it's really hot out, and if you allow Franklin to, before she could finish the caretaking directions of Franklin, I stuck my tongue so deep in her mouth." "What was that?" "It was a kiss." "Okay. Cool beans." So, Denise went back home. I took Franklin and put him out on my picnic table outside. And I went inside to get ready. And I thought to myself, you know what? Vincent's probably going to show off his premature muscles and wear no shirt. I can show something off. So I picked a white tank top. And I had an idea. If you can't grow it, you leave it. And I went to town. So then I picked up Denise, and I took her down to the basketball hoop, and I pretended to know how to play basketball, and she sat there watching me, and I didn't make one basket. and it was a scorcher out. I was sweating profusely, and I still embarrassed myself. I just kept on trying to make up that scene. This looks nothing like basketball. She kept staring at me, and then she looked at me as I was sweating all over the place, and she said, "Tommy, what happened to your arms? What's wrong with your shirt?" I looked down, my pits were melting. Then Vincent looked at me. "Hey, dude, what happened to your pits?" I was horrified. I ran like hell back to my house. My house was up a very steep hill, and before I could begin my ascent of humiliation, I was met at the bottom by Danny Fabioli and his two friends. "Hey, faggot, what happened to your arms?" And he pushed me to the ground. And you know how the rest of the scenario goes, right? No, you don't. Armpit hair or not, I was going to be a man. I stood up, and I put up my fists. Then Denise ran in. "Oh my God, Tommy, what are you doing?" "Stand back! This is a man's job!" I did not say that. Then and I thought to myself, what kind of man do I want to be, huh? Do I want to be like John Wayne, like those movies my dad watches, huh? Or do I want to be like Mr. Rogers, who wears those really nice sweaters and always tells me I'm perfect just the way then BAM! Right in the face. I was down on the ground. And the next thing I heard was my dad's voice. "Hey, Tommy! Hey! Tommy, get up! Hey, you little bastards, better run. I'm going to stick this hammer so far up your fucking ass!" My dad brought a hammer. I went home, embarrassed, humiliated. Denise went on her trip. And that night, I went outside to check on Franklin. He was broiled to a crisp at the bottom of the bowl. I killed an animal, and I had certainly killed any chance of more tongue kisses from Denise. By 9th grade, I was involved in theater and music everywhere. I was always at a rehearsal. One night, I came home from rehearsal, and my mom was sitting at the kitchen table. "Go away, Tommy! Go away, honey! Go away, I don't want you to see me like this! Go away!" He hit her. She was bleeding. Put the knife down. What did you do to her? You're not going to use the fucking knife, so put the knife down. Put the knife down! The next morning, I went to the kitchen and my mom was hovering over the kitchen counter, crushing something up. "What are you doing?" "I'm crushing up glass, honey. I need to get it into really small pieces. Can you help me? This is our only way." "I'm going to put it in his coffee." My dad came out to get the cup of coffee, and he drank it. And then he came out for another, and another, and another, and an entire day went by with cups of coffee with cream, sugar, and glass. A few days later, she was making his dinner. I'm crushing out my heart pills. I counted 14 of them. This has to do it. We're going to put them in his mashed potatoes. My dad came out to get the food. He He ate the entire thing. In fact, he even told my mom they were the best mashed potatoes she ever made. She tried one last time. She put Lysol in his pancake syrup. He smelled it, and he threw her and the dish against the wall. Her only other way out was to have another heart attack, which brought her to the hospital where she was safe. But it left me alone with him. I needed help. I needed a friend. I knew who I could turn to. Hey, Dean. Hi. I just wanted to stop by. I know you haven't seen me for a lot of Sundays. We're always rehearsing, but I wanted to come by and bring you these.
Oh, honey, Tommy, good gosh, thank you. You know I love your family's meatballs. But what really brings you by, sweetie?
Do you know how in Sunday school that you always taught us that God taught us to forgive other people? But what if that person you need to forgive, what if they do really bad things and they just keep doing bad things? And if you were to forgive them, you don't even know if they would care.
Tommy, this is where you have to ask God for help, honey. That's why he's there. Good gosh, he's good at these things. And everybody cares if they hurt you, sweetie. It's just they're hurting inside. They're hurting in the same places that you and me hurt. Except sometimes people's hurt, it's so much. It grows and grows and grows, and it has nowhere to go but to explode. And then it gets all over everybody. You have a choice, honey. You have a choice that when somebody is in front of you, you can see them as fully human, as broken as you are, and deserving of dignity. You can see them as small and insignificant, and not worth your own vulnerability. Good gosh, Tommy, we're all the same. I took those words to heart, and I tried to live by them all throughout high school. Thank God I had theater and music in high school. Because of my passion and dedication to the arts, my high school recommended me for the Governor's School for the Arts. It was a six-week getaway, a workshop, intensive, where people and students just like myself were being taught by world-class teachers. I had never been away from home for more than a night. We were supposed to write a monologue about our lives to describe our family. And we were supposed to perform it in front of our acting coach as a way of introduction. My acting coach, her name was Luann. And to say Luann was an intimidating character doesn't do it justice. Hi, my name is Tommy Schweitzer, and I represent Altoona Area High School, and I'm really honored to be here. Thank you. Are you going to do your monologue, or am I going to have to fall asleep? Huh? I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll just start it from the beginning. I would stand on my tippy toes trying to watch my mom as she made meatballs in a skillet. The smell of garlic and the crackle of grease filled the air. Stop! Describe your mom in one word. Big? Big. Like what kind of big? Like beach ball big or Titanic big? Titanic, I guess. How about your dad? One word, or two, whatever. He's a janitor. Oh, a janitor. Did Shakespeare write his character? Because he sounds so freaking interesting. No. How about you? Huh? Me? Yeah, you! Or you can just tell me which one of the Smurfs is your favorite. I'm a pretty happy guy. I make my friends laugh. I have to be honest with you, this monologue that we had to create about our family, it was kind of hard for me because I don't really talk about my family very much. My house is kind of hard. My dad has a sickness in his brain, and it makes my mom and I not know really what's going to happen next. So, they hate each other, my parents. It's like my dad never had enough love. That's like what happened with both of them. It's like they both don't have enough love to be parents, you know what I mean? I know they love me, but sometimes I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do sometimes. I'm scared. When you're scared, what do you do, honey? Those 6 weeks transformed me. I went home changed. I found out who I really was. And I told myself that I was going to make a life so much better than what I was living. My mom was put back in the hospital. And my dad, he lost his job. And he would start to go down to our basement. And he would scream at a light bulb. He screamed at God. Mom? Mom? I went to visit my mom at the hospital. Mommy? Mom, I'm glad you're sitting up. I just wanted to say, I know that you want me to go to college right away next semester. But how about if I just take off? Take off first semester. No, Tommy, over my dead body. You're going to school. Your grandma can come help me. You're going to go Go make something of yourself, honey. Or everything I have ever done would be for nothing. You're all I've been on this earth for, Tommy. That's not true, Mom. It is, honey. Some people are put here for more than loving another person. That's not me. After that time in the hospital, I went right home and I felt a fire and a drive like I had never felt before. I started to take more voice lessons and play harder music, read more books. I applied to every school I could. I even told myself I was going to change my body. I started to eat differently. And I promised myself I would walk 2 hours every day. That next February, my mom finally came home. And on Valentine's Day, I received a letter in the mail. I don't know why I did this next part. Hey, Dad. Hey, I wanted to tell you I got into school. I got into Shenandoah Conservatory. I'll be studying music theater, of course, and I know it's Virginia and it's hot, but they say they have air conditioning, so. This weekend, it's my last show at the high school. If you want to come and go, Mom can't. My dad didn't go to the show. August 20th. It was the night before I was supposed to go to college. I was watching Batman at the local movie theater when a theater manager came down and whispered in my ear to go home now. There was a call. When I got there, my mom was sitting smoking a cigarette in the kitchen. Tommy, he's in the living room. He's in the living room, honey. Come back. I ran down to the living room, and I stood in the doorway, and all I could make out were my dad's legs. They were on the ground. Tall white tube socks, 3 red stripes, and there were pills and bottles everywhere. When I got closer to him, he started to make this gurgling sound, and his body was bloated, twice its normal size. I went back to the kitchen. Tommy! No, honey, don't call. Is it done? Honey, is it done? Mom, he's still alive. I think my dad had a heart attack or something. He's on the ground and it's 121 2nd Avenue. I don't know, pills? Lots of pills? Mom, do you know how long this might... Mom! No, I don't know, I just couldn't hear myself. And he's making this really bad sound. But hey, 5 minutes later, an ambulance showed up. And as they were taking my dad out on a stretcher, my mom had a heart attack in the kitchen. Another ambulance showed up, and I followed both of them to the hospital. When I found my mom was settled in one part of the hospital, I went to check on my dad, who was put in the psychiatric unit. I went home that night and prayed. Dear God, I know I have to go. Dear God, I can't stay here. Can you please help them both stay alive and help me survive? The next morning, I grabbed my suitcases and my boxes and my bags, and I went to school. I drove to Virginia, and I had to stop the car a few times to just cry on the side of the road, but when I got there, Shenandoah felt like a home. The very first week I became my class president, and I also was cast in the school show that fall. I would go home every weekend to visit my mom and my dad. Well, my mom. By that time, she had gone completely blind. She had congestive heart failure, and her feet were in need of amputation. It took me months longer to finally gain the courage to go see my father. They put my dad in a psychiatric home in Pennsylvania, and I drove up to the Victorian house, and I was met by a nurse. And when I went inside, everything smelled like medicine and mashed potatoes. But when I saw my father, this man who was once a 200-pound muscular man was down to hardly 100. His skin was gray and yellow, and he was shaking. And his eyebrows kept going up and down. And all he was wearing were a pair of underwear that he had pissed in. No matter what my life was up to that moment, my father did not deserve that humiliation. I went home to tell my mom. She said, "Bring him home. Bring him home." My aunt went to pick him up, and as soon as my dad walked into the living room and he saw my mom in the hospice bed, my father cried. That would be the first time in my life I had ever seen my father cry. I gathered my things to go back to school. Before I went out the door, my dad took his chair, and he put the chair next to my mom, and he held her hand. And he looked at me and said, "I love you." And that was the very first time I had ever heard that out loud. I went back to school, and then on April 22nd, I was coming home to my dorm from a rehearsal when I found a note on the door that said, "Call home." Hi. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. How's he? Yeah, you can put him on. Hey, Dad. Yeah, you're right. You did a good job. Yeah. She's not suffering anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna come home tonight. All right. Okay. Thank you, Anne. I love you too. I slammed my phone against the wall and I tore my dorm room apart. I had lost my best friend, and I couldn't imagine my life without my mom being alive. I went to the piano in the practice room that night, and I wrote my very first full song for her funeral. She's in the wind tonight, she's in the starlight, feel her breath against your your trembling skin. Open up your eyes. Spread your arms out wide. See her, go on, see her. She is alive. I went back to school my sophomore year, and I tried my best to pay attention to school and get through. But there was an anger inside of me. Something was boiling inside of me. Who was that man? Who was this small, weak, vulnerable man? He was the reason. He was the reason that she was sick and dying. Then one night, one summer night between my sophomore and junior year, my father hadn't taken his medication for weeks. And everything went out of control, including me. The basement. Tommy's dad was very mad and sad at the same time. He screamed at Tommy, "Why did she have to die? Why is your mother in a coffin?" This made no sense to Tommy. He hadn't seen the side of his father for a long time. He was scaring Tommy, and Tommy wanted to go out. "Dad, I need to go." His father grabbed him and threw him up against the wall. "I should be dead, not your mom. Your mother is in a coffin with maggots in her eyes." Tommy couldn't listen to his dad. He didn't want to hear his father's crazy talk. Dad, I have to go. Let go of me." And then he blocked the door from Tommy leaving. "I should be dead." And then his father ran down the basement steps. Tommy followed after him. When he got down to the basement, his father had an axe above his head. "Kill me!" "Dad, stop it. I need to go. Stop it. Kill me!" His father was screaming. Tommy was scared to death. "Kill me! I'm the one that should be dead, not her. Dad, please, I just want to go home with my friends. Kill me! Kill me!" He started to chant. Tommy couldn't take it. "Kill me! I should be the one that's dead, not your mom. She's the one that fed me the pills every 5 minutes, and she told me it would all be over." Tommy was confused. Mom never did that. She promised me it would be over. Tommy felt a rage and a sadness, and every emotion that he felt he had his entire life was boiling up to the top of his head. "Kill me!" His father started to chant again. "Kill me!" His father raised the axe high. "Kill me! Kill me!" Tommy didn't know what took over his body, and he grabbed the axe. And he lifted it. "Kill me!" And he lifted it. "Kill me!" But then, Tommy heard every time a person is in front of you, you have a choice. You have a choice to see that person as fully human, as broken as you are, and deserving of dignity. Or you can choose to see them as small and insignificant, not worth your own vulnerability. I didn't talk to my dad for years after this night in the basement, but I went back to school. and I graduated. And as soon as I graduated, I found a job at a small private school where I was going to teach music and theater to children. It was perfect. I loved it. Most of my friends went off to try Broadway, but I knew I wanted to be a teacher or do something working with kids. But I was a teacher, so I had to make my ends meet. So I had to take side jobs, which brings me to Vivian. Vivian was this woman character I created in college. I played her in cabarets and workshops and special events. I modeled her after a very specific acting coach. Now, many years later, in Altoona, one of my best friends was getting married, and he heard about Vivian. He heard that a friend of mine years ago, their parents paid me $300 to come crash their daughter's wedding as this woman. It was easy money. It was an odd job, but it worked. So now, years later, my friend in Altoona, he asked me to sing at his wedding, and he asked me to play Vivian at his reception. And because he was kind, and we were next door neighbors, he invited my dad as well. So, as Tommy, I sang at the wedding. Then as Vivian, I went from table to table. Oh my God, didn't you love her dress? Oh, I love the little wieners with the bacon. It was a really hot day. Vivian was parched. She went to the keg to get herself some beer. But before she pumped, she heard a familiar voice behind her. I can help you with that. I turned around, and there he was, his newly subdued self, having no idea he was talking to his son. Oh, thank you. And I stood there and watched my father pump my beer. You can feel that all the way up to the top. And as awkwardness has it, there was an empty bench. Want to sit down? Sit down a little bit? I'm sorry I keep staring at you. You look so much like my dead wife. I'm so sorry. What's her name? What was her name? Kathy. What's your name? Vivian. You Italian? I like spaghetti. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. It was so nice to meet you, though. Oh, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to creep you out or anything. It's just you. God, you look so much like her. Well, then she must have been beautiful. She was. Then I thought, what the hell? So do you have any children? Yeah, I have one. Tommy, he was the kid that sang at the wedding. Oh, him. Oh, he's handsome. Those dimples. And so talented. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's a good person. Wish I was more like him.
Why did he say that?
He's good like his mom. Both of them, they're really good people, you know? He teaches kids acting and music and shit like that, stuff like that.
You must be very proud.
More than I can say. In that moment, I decided that nobody should feel that lonely. From that day on, I made a deal with myself that I was going to call my father every single day, even if it was for a minute, just to say hello. So for the next 2 years, my father and I separately went through major amounts of therapy, and I called every day. A couple years later, I thought it was time to integrate him somehow into my life. By this time, I had been volunteering at a nursing home, supplying music. I invited my dad down for Christmas, and on this night, I was supposed to sing Christmas carols with the elderly home. My father, I went up to get him, and he came down. And I told him what I was about to do, and I said, but there's one woman there who's going to turn 98 on Christmas Eve, and what she wanted more than anything in the world was to meet Santa Claus. I didn't have anyone to play Santa Claus. And he looked at me, and he said, I'll do it. I took him to the school costume room, and I set him up with a Santa Claus outfit. And on the way driving to the nursing home, we sang, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. And when we walked into the room, it was full of people in wheelchairs, out of wheelchairs. My father walked in, and he let out a ho, ho, ho. Absolutely no expression. He was the worst Santa. But they loved him. We stayed there all night. That one Christmas Eve made up for all the Christmases before. It was a couple months later when I was giving a voice lesson to a young man who was 14. Just a month earlier, he had lost his father due to suicide. His father took his life in front of him. This boy came in with a poem called Falling from a Star. It was about his wish for his dad to fall from a star back into his bedroom window. He handed me the words and asked if I could help make it into a song. Dear God, can you please tell my dad? Dear God, that every day is sad without him. I want him to fall from a star. Tell me everything's alright. Fall from a star. Tuck me in every night. I know how far away the stars are. But I swear, when I see them, I see my dad. When I was done writing that song, I felt like I shifted the sadness of the world just a little bit. And I went home, and I knew what I needed to do for the rest of my life. I went right back to school to become a music therapist. I wanted to use music to heal. But I had no idea that music therapy was so clinical. and could tap into so many parts of the brain and the heart and the body. And as soon as I graduated school, I knew I wanted to create a place where no matter how small somebody felt, when they walked into this place, they would feel like they were someone big on earth. They had a place to be. So the Center Place to Be was formed. And on that opening day, I wanted my dad to see it. So I drove up to Pennsylvania to get him. And when he walked into the freshly painted building, the first thing he said was, "Where's your vacuum?" My dad cleaned that building from top to bottom. And then when he was done, he sat down on a chair and said, "There you go." That night we had an opening night party. About 200 people showed up, mostly parents with kids with disabilities. Sometime during that night, my father, he handed me a present. And it was so busy and chaotic, I said thank you, and I just took it. And I put it in my desk drawer to open up at another time. Then 1 month to the day, October 19th, my dad died in his home in Altoona. And it wasn't until that moment that I remembered the gift. I couldn't imagine somebody who had a second grade education, that they could write something so beautiful. Now I come to see a place to be where my son teaches therapy to the kids that teach him too. And that's the way it should be at this place called a place to be. And my spirit will always be here. This place called a place to be. A couple months later, I found out where Erdine Grissinger was. She was in a nursing home in Pennsylvania, and I got permission from her family to go visit her. When I got there, the nurses told me, "She won't respond to you." And they also told me, "Don't expect that she would ever remember me." Hi, Erdine. Hi. Hi. My name is Tommy Schweitzer. I went to 2nd Avenue United Methodist Church a long time ago. Oh, and I brought you these meatballs. You used to like them, so. I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you for showing me music. You taught me how to play the piano and sing. And I just became a music therapist. You probably don't know what, a lot of people don't know what a music therapist is. We use, we use evidence-based science, and we clinically work with people using basically, I just do what you did for me. So thank you. I see they have a piano here, huh? Would you like me to play the piano? Would you like me to play? Okay. All right. I know something you like. Here we go. Then slowly, with her walker, Erdine made her way to the piano. You sit by me. Good gosh, Tommy. I wanted to say it was really a pleasure. Could I have lights, please, Ann? Would you mind? Nobody ever likes this part. I can see who's crying. I'm not crying. Thank you all for being here today. It's really a privilege to do this show every time. It's growing, and I'm learning each time I do it. The reason that this show is happening is because I feel that there is a great need for forgiveness in the world. And my story is not that different, I'm sure, than many of yours. And you might not have had this sort of a childhood, but we all have something that we are trying to work through. And until we really move on past the story that is secular inside of our head that is keeping us back, we can't be who we truly are or happy. And just because somebody like me puts a show like this together doesn't mean that I know everything, or I am completely healed, or I have even completely forgiven. I have forgiven as much as I can. I have healed as much as I have healed to this moment today. And I feel like one of my reasons for being on this earth is the same reason you all are here today. And that is to show a light to other people. And when we start to show that light, at that point, we can be healed. And it's not just actors, and it's just not politicians, and it's just not the people that make it big. If I had another 500 performances in York, Pennsylvania, that would be Broadway enough for me. Because you are the humans that have sat here today and listened to this story. So I thank you. Thank you, Teresa, for producing the show wherever you are. Thank you. I want to thank my cousins, Denise and John Gilliland, for your endless love and support. Denise is one of the reasons that I'm here. We share the Del Grosso last name, which means of the large. I just happen to be the male version of it. But because of how we grew up, she was somebody that was just a little bit older than me, but knew that I needed extra love. So the Del Grosso family, since I was a child, made sure that every summer when I heard those carousel tunes from that old carousel, that I would have a place to be too. And it takes a lot of people, not just an Erdine. An Erdine is real, that is her real name too. It doesn't just take an Erdine, it takes, we hear this over and over in Village, but it takes love from everybody around. And I want to thank you as family for always loving me and being there and supporting me. And it was really nice to be here in this theater. I hope to come back. I love this theater and I love working with you. This is so easy. In fact, I think this is going to be Pippi Longstocking next, right?
You got it.
Yeah. And it's perfect for Altoona. Altoona looks just like that. If you'd like to learn more about A Place to Be, we have representatives, many of us. Denise can tell you. There's Forrest right here with Tolliver. If you have any questions, he definitely knows. And a couple of things. If you'd like to give to A Place to Be, we are a nonprofit organization. Forrest will be right out there with Tolliver in the hallway. If you'd like to give us a donation, you write the check to A Place to Be. I would also ask you, I keep my Facebook as a journal, and I have something called the Music Therapy Minute. If you want to learn more about music therapy, you get a minute a day. And I found out today is International Music Therapy Day today. And if you want to look me up, my Facebook is Thomas Schweitzer, not Tom. And if you're here from the New York Theater, I will befriend you, and you can follow along on our journey at A Place to Be. If you'd like to give us a gift, please do that as well. But how I always end in A Place to Be production is by telling you, if you know somebody, after you learn more about music therapy, if you know somebody that needs music therapy, reach out to us. We will help find somebody for you. We might not be here right in New York, but we would like to help you find this kind of healing. And if you don't know about music therapy, all of you should go home and Google it right now. For what it is doing for bodies and minds and hearts, what it is doing right now for dementia and Alzheimer's, and reducing pain and redirection of pain. Somebody's playing a musical instrument while they're getting chemotherapy and you're watching their heart rate go down. Somebody's in the NICU and a parent needs to hear the music because they're sad. Somebody is just had a stroke and they're learning to walk again, and we use rhythm to help them move. Please learn about music therapy. And I hope, right now the plan is that this show will be in DC for a couple months in 2021 at a theater called Signature. And it's a professional theater house that I really, really look forward to being in. And I hope that you can make it there too. Thank you all for being here today. Love to you. Thank you.